Hello everyone, welcome back to the next episode of In Conversation With. My name is Clow, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Foot, who is a coach of the FAW as well as a big futsal enthusiast. Hello Chris, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me, Lee.
Thank you very much. For everyone at home, explain your role with the FAW and tell me what else you do.
Okay, so my role with the FAW, I'm a coach educator. So I work on the level 1 and level 2 coach education courses. So that'd be football leaders, the C certificate, and also the futsal qualification. So that's what I do with the FAW at the moment. That's the FAW Trust, the coach education side of things. Also been involved in various other capacities, working on mental health projects. I've also worked with the FAW on some national squads, so I've helped out with the Wales C international team, UEFA Regions Cup. I've also done some stuff with the futsal squad, so I've worked in a sort of a team operations capacity, supporting the men's international futsal squad on a number of occasions. And also I've helped with coaching the Wales under-19s futsal squad as well.
I'm going to kick off with some questions now. So, as mentioned, you're a massive futsal fan. How would you describe it if you could use one word or so?
If it's just one word, then I'd say it's a very technical game.
So what does the sport mean to you? Like, how prominent is it in your life, especially around your career?
So I first became interested in it from reading an online article, maybe 2005, something like that. It just seemed to be the way that other countries were developing young footballers, really, and as a sport, and reading more into it, reading about the technical development of the players, their contact time with the ball, their involvement in the games. Because it's a small sort of game, they're getting much more contact with the ball. It seemed to make a lot of sense to me as a coach, a football coach who was trying to find different ways and exciting ways of coaching football. So I took my first futsal coaching qualification in 2009, I think it was, and that was an English FA qualification. It was delivered by Graham Dell, who's a UEFA futsal instructor, and that was in a bespoke futsal centre that was built in Cardiff at the time. And after that, for maybe 7 or 8 years, maybe longer, I didn't do an awful lot with futsal in that time. But I've come back on board within the FAW in recent years to become a coach educator of the futsal qualification, and step into those sort of roles in trying to help support and develop the national team and the national elite league as well.
What would you say is your best futsal moment?
There's been a couple in the last few years where, for example, when I was supporting the national team in sort of the operational side of things, got to go on a few camps with them. So I went out to Northern Ireland for the home nations, and also out to Moldova and supported the team in their World Cup qualifying campaign group, which was a really massive experience. Just before back end of 2019, I also got to go up to St George's Park again for the home nations, and we played a sort of exhibition match where Wales sort of put out a sort of under-19 development team, really, and played against England, and I was part of the coaching team for that sort of new squad, which was again a great honour.
How would you say futsal differs from football?
I think there's a lot of common themes, and in the sort of modern day football, a lot of the current trends are present in futsal. So pressing, where to press, when to drop off, rotations within the team as well. They're all very common themes within futsal. Transition between attack and defence, and defence and attack are really, really key to the game. And that level of sort of embedding those ideas in futsal and in futsal training, can help footballers as well, definitely. Differences, I think obviously it's an indoor sport typically, certainly in wetter climates like we've got in sunny South Wales. Playing indoors is a big advantage at times, especially in the winter months. The court, you are on an indoor court, you do play on touchlines exactly as you do with football. The squad is really, really important in futsal because you have unlimited rolling substitutions. So the starting 5 players, typically, if you've got a full squad and you play in certain different ways, the entire outfield 4 is quite commonly substituted every 3 or 4 minutes. So that squad of players, and the demand upon those players and the distance they cover in the games is massive. So managing the squad is really significant, and it's again a good skill to have, and it's something else you have to have in your coaching armory to have that to be ready to be a next line of players to come on and the rotations of the squad as well.
Going along with that, what do you think makes futsal unique to any other sport?
I think it's got, if we talk about what's unique about it, I'd say really right now in Wales and the UK, what's unique about it is its potential, because it's really kind of an untapped resource. So the Welsh League, there's no week in, week out coverage of the league. The English League is better financed and better developed and bigger than the Welsh League, as you'd expect in a bigger country. They don't have any week in, week out coverage of it. In terms of someone coming in and maybe live streaming games and sponsorship opportunities and exposure of the game, there's massive potential.
What would you recommend to people if they wanted to start getting into futsal?
In terms of futsal, if you're a senior player over the age of 16, there are clubs across Wales. There's lots of teams you can go and get involved in. Obviously, if you're a student, there's the Bucks leagues as well. So USW are competing in the Bucks League as well as the FAW Elite Futsal League. So the opportunities as an adult are there, and if you're looking at Bucks and student-led teams, Swansea University now they've been declared the winners of the Elite Futsal League, and they're going to represent Wales in the UEFA Futsal Champions League, and those qualifiers are coming along later in the year. So as if we're looking at students coming into USW in the autumn, there's lots of opportunities, because of where we are at the minute. It's not beyond the imagination that a student from USW could potentially be representing their country and playing in the Champions League within a couple of years. Because we know that there's talented footballers coming into the university, and some training, some preparation, and you're not that far away. So the potential's there. Obviously, the more and more people get into it, the more difficult it's going to become, but that's obviously a good thing for Welsh futsal and UK futsal, international futsal.
What would you say are the pros of the sport in your opinion?
Well, there was some interesting stats came out. So the FAW Trust did a review of small-sided football versus 11-a-side football recently. And whilst they weren't necessarily looking specifically at futsal, they compared how many touches of the ball and all that kind of thing that a player would get in 5-a-side versus 11-a-side. So in a 5-a-side game, a player is going to get, from their research, and they were using like pedometers and sort of devices in shoes to measure these things. So they get 3 times more touches of the ball, 2 times more dribbles, and twice as much time on the ball as well. So from a developmental point of view, if it's a young player, that extra contact with the ball is going to obviously move you on quicker, rather than if you're playing 11-a-side football where you may only touch the ball every 5 or 10 minutes. In futsal, you're never more than a couple of seconds away from touching the ball if you're on the court. So I think those benefits are there for young players developing, be they boys or girls.
Would you say it's a sport for everyone?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Hopefully within the Bucks system, and I believe from speaking to Lewis that they've got plans for multiple men's teams in the Bucks leagues, alongside hopefully a women's team as well, and then in the Welsh National League as well. There's a mix of teams in there, and mixed abilities. I think hopefully over time that'll start to become more of a divide between maybe recreational players and maybe more elite players, and that will help to develop the game. I mean, from a developmental point of view, from young children upwards, then yeah, absolutely it's for everybody, because everybody playing futsal in that environment, where if you're a 7 or 8 year old girl or boy and you're playing in Wales in January, where are you going to want to be? Inside a sports hall, kicking a futsal ball every few seconds, or on a 3G with driving rain or snow, kicking a ball every 4 or 5 minutes. Now, that's a better learning environment for the young boy or girl, and also it's a better environment for their parents as well, because if their parents don't want to take them to play on the weekend because it's chucking it down with rain, then the kids aren't going to play either. So it's investing in the infrastructure and the stakeholders who are going to make the games happen, really. So it's a no-brainer for me.
Just before we end, I'm going to ask you some light-hearted questions. So, okay. On a futsal court, what position would you like to play in?
Would I like to play in? I'd like to be the tricky, skillful goal scorer, but at the stage I'm at now, and with my knees and ankles, as I mentioned before, I'm probably more likely to be the back man, the one trying to sweep things up.
Is the goalkeeper position appealing?
Oh no, you have to be proper crazy to be a goalkeeper.
From your previous experience with futsal, has there been a standout funny moment? Standout moment, probably helping to put a squad out to represent Wales against England at St George's Park. If you could have a specific number on the back of your shirt in a futsal game, what number would you be? Any lucky number if you have? 7. That would be 7. Finally, if you could keep one of the two sports, either futsal or football, which one would you keep? Oh, that's a very cynical question. I can't, in all honesty, say one or the other. I mean, I love them both, so it's like choosing between children, and I can't. Yeah, I don't blame you with that. Anyway, I think that wraps up today. I've had great fun. Thank you, Chris, for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure. No problem. Thank you. I hope to see you very soon in the new season. So yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. That's the next episode of In Conversation With. I'll be back very soon with another episode. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.